One of the first things that I tell my students when they first start out is keep your budget down. Start with the bare minimums. You can go out and spend several $1,000s for a buttonhole machine and a button sewer when it's not necessary. Why would you want to spend that kind of money when you haven't even made a collar or a cuff or a shirt and you're spending money already? If you're going to spend money, spend it on your marketing. That'll be for another tutorial. But in the beginning, keep it bare minimum. Now, I'll tell you, when I started out, I had a used industrial machine, just like the one you see here in the upper left. It was just a old brother machine. All it did was a single needle. It had a reverse on it, and it had a knee guard, so I could lift the pressure foot without using my hands. And so it's very important when you're first starting out. I think I spent $300. This is way back 50 years ago. $300 was probably a little bit more than I should have paid at the time, but I was young and I didn't know any better. Today you can still buy one complete like this for about $300 or $400. That's how they keep their value. Now, if you're not inclined, or if you already own a machine, I would highly recommend a machine that is heavy so it doesn't bounce. Because what I did in the beginning, I had an industrial and then I had a home machine, as I call them. I used to put this home machine on top of the table of my industrial, and I would do my buttonholes. And the only thing I used this home machine is for making buttonholes. And I used to sew buttons on by hand. If you notice this here 830 Bernina, it has a slot for an E-guard. The 830. Now this machine you're looking at, the Bernina 830, is probably close to 50 years old, if not 50. Now the one I bought way back then is the 801. It had no knee guard. So the only thing I used it was for buttonholes. Now, if all you want is just a home machine to do your buttonholes and your regular sewing, the 830 is a nice machine. It's all steel, weighs about between 30 and 40 pounds, won't bounce, all steel. I still have the one that I bought close to 50 years ago. I still have it, and it's still in great shape. So quality does last. Now, eventually, when you start making 25, 30, 40 shirts a week, it'd behoove you to buy an industrial buttonhole machine and an industrial button sewer. The button sewer, I think the first one I bought was a Lewis brand. I think I spent $1,200 for it. It was kind of pricey. I think I paid too much for it, but I still have it today. It still sews buttons real well. And the brother, I have an old brother, older than the one you're looking at here now. I think at the time I spent about $1,500. Still works today. They're cheaper today than they ever were. Most of them are coming from China. The thing is, make sure you have a good service location. When you buy a used one, make sure it works. For example, the button sewer, first one I bought, I had a little problem with. It would sew 3 or 4 buttons and it wouldn't work. So I had it to have it repaired and worked on. I recommend when you buy a used one, make sure it sews at least a dozen buttons in a row without having a problem. And make sure you have a good repairman that you can count on. The buttonhole machine, the same way. The old ones used to last forever. Again, make sure you have a good repair service for whatever brand you buy today. Because if they come out to you on industrial machines, minimum you're going to pay is $50 an hour. Anywhere from $50 to $100 an hour. And if you have to take it in yourself, just imagine you got to rent a truck, or you got to need a truck to get it there. Going and coming, and it usually takes a day or two to get it fixed, and then you got to pick it up again. The time is money. So think about all these things when you're buying. A good source today is eBay. If you do buy a machine off eBay, make sure they send you a sample of what it's doing. Make sure you have a guarantee. The other thing is, when you buy an industrial from eBay, remember, usually you have to pay freight, and then if it goes wrong and you got to send it back, you got to pay freight again, and you get into a little controversy with who's paying what. So make sure of what you're doing and what agreements you have with the seller when you're buying used machines. Again, try not to spend a lot of money when you're first starting out. Your whole goal initially is to learn the business, learning the collar making, learning the cuff making, or learning the shirt making if you're taking the full shirt making course. Those are your objectives. I'll say it up front. Don't quit your job when you first start out. I'm going to show you all the techniques of marketing. I'm going to show you how to get started on the ground floor with absolutely using bare minimum money